Pattaya 105 Property Show, sponsored by Compass Real Estate.
Thanks to all you guys for sending the emails and your questions. And one question we've just had in is for you, Wim. So are you going to be ready for this one?
Sure.
It seems to be the question that's coming in at full force. Why are you so expensive? Why are your units 25 million to 75 million baht? Why?
Well, I think that it's a very good question, and I'm very happy that someone's asking this, because at least I have the opportunity to explain to you why. Because at the end of the day, people will only buy if they get value for money.
Mm-hmm.
But let me just explain something to you that a lot of people are probably not aware of. Because we are on the beach, we have a lot of restrictions implemented by the government that we must fulfill. First of all, our piece of land is 165 metres wide, okay? Mm-hmm. So it runs parallel to the ocean. Normally what happens is they run backwards, so you only have you run at right angles to the ocean, so your view is limited. We have 100% view. It'll never be built out, okay?
Right.
Secondly, we can only occupy the land 25%. We can only build on 25% of the land,
mm-hmm.
okay? So this restricts you on the number of units you can
put on
build.
the land. Yep.
Yeah. The other thing is we can only go 14 metres high.
Right.
Okay. Now, I can assure you, we got our occupancy certificate in a matter of weeks, not months or years. And the reason for that being is because we have built within the spec. Everything we've done is within the spec.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, we've built much more capacity for water, that we are never going to be short of water.
Mm-hmm. We
have our own wells. We drilled 3 wells, something like 170 metres down. Get the water from the crack
mm-hmm.
In the rock. We are retaining the water. We're not letting the water go out. There will be a little bit of wastewater from the septic tanks,
mm-hmm.
for instance, but we have 4 big septic tanks, one for each block. And the idea of that being is the process of that we can reuse the water. We could actually drink it, but we don't. We put it back into the garden. Then when you start looking at that ratio of land, 25%,
mm-hmm.
and if you look at some of the other environments you have, when you're back from the ocean, where you can almost occupy the entire land, we can't do this. And that's why, and the height...
So you can only occupy 25% of your 100% of the land?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's sort of standing out for a start off, because a lot of people will buy, and like you said, yours runs parallel with the ocean, where people would buy a block of land and it would be going sort of lengthways, yeah, and of course they would be sort of building on every sort of metre they could to get the maximum out of it, yeah. True.
Well, this is true. The thing is that you must remember. This whole project was designed by ourselves, okay, from scratch. As far as the engineering for certain things is concerned, we have to use experts, because we are not experts in those fields.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not a multinational company. It's just 2 of us. We take a salary and that's it. We don't have masses of people working for us, earning lots of money and all this stuff. So we know where our costs are. Our building structure is expensive, and the reason why it's expensive because we build it stronger than what we should have.
Right.
But we've done it for a reason. Secondly, for instance, we use Italian kitchens, Italian marble. We use Padini kitchens, by the way,
mm-hmm.
which if ever you want to see a beautiful kitchen, it's just unbelievable.
And weren't you telling me that you actually flew one of the installers from Italy to install those kitchens?
Well, Padini is Lamborghini, isn't it?
No, Padini is a separate. They do manufacture the furniture and kitchens for Lamborghini.
For Lamborghini, yeah.
Yeah, and I may be talking a little bit ahead of myself, but we're in the process of negotiating, and we almost have approval to do some suites in Lamborghini outfit, right?
Wow.
Which will be significant.
Do you think that would, like the themed sort of a condominium? I mean, do people sort of go for that here? I mean, around the world, I have seen, themed condominiums where people want them doing like, the inside of this or that, or like this car or whatever. I mean, do you think that would catch on?
Dave, believe it or not, to use a Lamborghini name,
mm-hmm.
you have to be very special.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not allowed to use their name. Can't give you everything because everything is not finalised.
No.
But I can tell you, there are going to be many people coming, and there are going to be many Lamborghinis coming there for meetings, and they're going to be spending a lot of money in this town.
I must put that on my memo to take Lamborghini out of my middle name then.
Yeah. And the thing is that these people have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, but they absolutely expect the best. And coming back to what Lawrence is saying, you know, we have somebody come out? And yes, we do. All of our kitchens, okay, are installed by Padini. Their man comes out and fits them, right? And it's not something we want to do. We would rather have local people doing this, but the problem is they don't have the craftsmanship to the finesse fittings, and that's why we've had to do this, because these types of people at the high end, they expect the best.
Yeah,
I think it's a problem you come across a lot here, where people, you know, if the local craftsmen, even if they are highly skilled, if they're not used to working with the European materials,
with a certain material,
perhaps they can't get that finished quality, you know, that say a European craftsman could do.
Well, I must say to you, when we first kicked off, and this is something that we haven't gone through, but when we first kicked off, we built a showroom, which had to be pulled down because where it is, tanks go underneath. But at the end of the day, the showroom we build it on the basis of the quality of material, the type of materials we had to use, and checking out the quality of the contractors. And I tell you, we pulled our hair out for a long time, and we had many surprises. And we had a Thai company who built these kitchens, and it was unbelievably beautiful material from Germany, and they did a fantastic job, but they couldn't fit it. Right. And it looked out of place. They couldn't understand straight. They couldn't understand square. They couldn't understand that when we say it has to fit up flush against the wall, you don't have it 5 millimeters away and then use some gap material to fill up the gap.
I think it's like we were talking about the other week on the show, Dave, when we were talking about, you know, people building their own homes. One of the big problems you have, you know, the Thai craftsman may well be able to do it to that standard, but actually communicating across, you know, what you actually want done on a very, very small detail level is often the problem.
And of course, when you're talking of high-end market, of course, you're going to talk of perfection.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah. I must say to you, whilst there are good people and bad people in every situation, we have been very pleased in a way with many, many Thai people that we use and done a fantastic job, but we've had to work with them, show them, teach them what we want and what we were looking for.
And I would imagine they've learned something as well at the same time, of course. You know, it's a two-way street there.
And there is, regardless of what anyone says, I've lived in Thailand for 15 years, there are Thai people, no different from what our foreigners are, they are wanting to do the best they can possibly do. And a lot of people wanted to work with Ocean's Edge because it's a high-end project. And I'm quite proud of what they've achieved, okay? You can always achieve better, but I'm quite proud of what they've achieved. But of course,
it gives them self-satisfaction. It gives you great satisfaction in seeing them learn something new, surely.
Absolutely, absolutely.
No, I was just thinking, you know, for the listeners out there, we have to try and put this into a bit of perspective. You know, the sort of the finished quality, the fixtures, the fittings, the materials that are used in these sort of high-end projects now perhaps weren't really around 10 years ago, like we were talking about when, you know, people from Bangkok come in here. There weren't that many high-end developments around then. You know, it was only really with the kind of launch of North Shore in 2004 that we started to see these sort of, you know, full timber floors, it's Italian stone tiles.
It's out the normal circle, isn't it? That's what you could say. The norm of what everybody sort of does and make them fantastic. We say they do a great job, but then suddenly you step out the circle and it's something new. It's a new product. It's a new way of doing it. And of course, people have to learn, and that's a two-way street.
Yeah, exactly. And now, you know, I think we do have 4 or 5, you know, very high-end projects here in the market, of which Ocean's Edge kind of on the top tier of that. And you know, it is really that kind of exclusivity. You know, I mean, how many units do you actually have there? When is it 32?
Yes, it's 32 units. 28 people will be living there because some of them are doubles, right?
Whether you're planning to buy or sell, rent or invest in either a house or a condo, Compass Real Estate offers exclusive new developments and, of course, properties that are ready to move into right away. The dedicated team at Compass Real Estate use their wealth of experience to guide you to your new home, anywhere in the Pattaya area, bringing buyer and seller together and ensuring a smooth and speedy transition. Compass Real Estate offices are on the Sukhumvit Road between Central and South Pattaya. Call us on 0800 958854 or browse our virtual showroom at compasspattaya.home. Let Compass be your guide to property buying. compasspattaya.com.
Thanks for joining us down here at 105. Coming back onto the property show. Wim's in the studio. Welcome back, Wim.
Thank you.
Now, of course, in the break we was talking about the emails we're getting in and the people sort of sending us questions. And of course, the question that keeps cropping up is can you enlighten us more on why yours are that kind of price at that 25 to 75 bracket?
Of course, the issue that, David, that you have is, like, as I was explaining to start with, we build a showroom, which was like a test building, because what we were trying to build was something that hadn't been built before. So, for instance, our air conditioning we changed 5 times. Our glass we changed 3 times. Okay, we used double glazing, and to try and get the maximum energy consumption saving, we had to do this. And I must say, I'd like to give our air conditioning guy a plug here if I can.
No problem, we don't mind plugs.
ARC, they did a really good job, and they went out of their way to try and help us. They understood what we were trying to do, so they did the glazing as well as the air conditioning.
Right.
And I can tell you, we now have the latest air conditioning that's available at Ocean's Edge, which is very, very cost effective to run, and it's very quiet.
Do you have anybody that comes to you they spend 25 or whatever, and they just want that little bit more personal touch to it? I mean, do you cater for that?
Actually, yes. I mean, we've done a unit for one gentleman that was actually came, started, and then he told us he wanted this, and this, and the whole lot was almost double to what we'd asked for.
Yeah. Because
you wanted this, and this extra, right? But that's part of what we have to do. Our clients are very demanding. They will not accept second standard.
No, I mean you've got to be absolutely on the ball, haven't you?
Correct.
With these guys and give them what they want. Any more to add to what we were talking about? What makes you a little bit more on the high end?
Yes, we've put in a electrical distribution board, which is quite expensive. And the idea of this is so we cut out the sparks, the highs and the lows, so we use less power. Okay, and the cost of doing all this in conjunction with having your own generator as well as emergency, so you've got a double lot of wiring. Is quite expensive, believe me. We also have very sophisticated communication system in there, from tracking security as well as communicating with customers or your visitors that come to the door. You control everything. There is no guard involved. It's all done electronically.
Wow.
And you have several times the opportunity to stop that person from coming to you, because as you can imagine, when you got your lift going inside into your apartment, you have to be sort of one step in front. Absolutely right. And I'll be honest with you, when we started with that, and in the end we worked out there was about 300 something plus combinations that we could have that could breach our security, and someone finish up into your apartment, we had to cover them. So the software that we have and the system that we have in place.
Didn't it ever? I mean, this is something just looking at as an outsider. When you're planning to do something like this, and you sit down with your friend and you say, right, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to aim for the 25 to 75 million bracket. Wasn't you nervous at any stage along the line? Didn't you sort of sit down and say to yourselves, I've got a second thought, or get scared, or because I would be, I'm talking as a pure neutral here, and just sit in the middle and think, well, this guy's over there and he's just about to do this. What was you thinking? I mean, what was the thinking behind it?
Well, I hear what you're saying, and the only thing that makes you frightened is financial crashes, because this affects not just only you but many other people, right? But basically, Ocean's Edge was built by two guys, and we managed the project all the way through from start to finish. And, even when they were pouring concrete 24 hours a day, in the middle of the night, we were there checking out because we wanted to make sure that the right Rio.
This is our baby, and we're going to see it. Yeah.
It's a passion, okay? And I know this is very difficult to grasp, particularly when you're talking with banks and so on. Ocean's Edge wasn't built to a budget. Ocean's Edge was built on the basis on what we needed.
So you never had that worry of like we've got to be within a certain bracket.
We never thought of it that way. We wanted to be in a certain bracket when we started, right? But then what happened was...
How many times did you change the goalpost?
I would say we've changed the goalpost 4 times.
Wow.
We started off at 18 million, believe it or not.
Right, okay.
And then what happened was we got into automation, and we got into this, and we got into that. But it's a pity. In a way, I suppose we should have brought one of our customers who was with us from the beginning. Now, this gentleman put down all his money, right? In the very early stages, there was nothing out of the ground yet.
Okay.
So he was very brave because we know what can happen, and it nearly happened to us.
And it can happen anywhere over the world. We want to say that it can happen anywhere in the world, and of course, like you said, it nearly happened to you as well.
I have to say to you that I have always paid my bills. I've always been always think about the customer first rather than you. But what I've experienced, I would not want to ever experience again. Okay, because at the end of the day, the problem that we have is that the financial institutions in Thailand work somewhat different than what they do in the West. Although in the West they're as rude as what they are here, but in our case they just decided to, for whatever reason, not to go any further and stop us. By this stage they've already cleaned out our cash flow, and now we were there. We had a structure. We had customers that put down deposits. We had bills to pay of nearly 60 million that they should have been paying, and we looked at one another. We felt like cutting our throats, but systematically we worked through it. And bar 2 customers that asked for their money back, the rest haven't asked for their money back. They were happy to wait because they understood what we were trying to do.
So perseverance has paid off.
Perseverance has paid off, but I'll be honest with you, we haven't taken any shortcuts, and we still haven't taken any shortcuts. We still look on the basis if it costs 10 million for this, and it's 5 million for that, and the 10 million is better value for money overall, then that's what we do. Right, that's fair comment. And when you get your customers and people that come and look, and they can tell you, we understand. We understand. We can see what you've done, okay, and where the money is. Those people that usually don't have the budget will give you all the excuses, but at the end of the day is they don't have the money. They would like to live there, but they don't have the money. I believe what it cost us to build and the percentage that we've made is nothing, and I mean nothing, to what the guys are making out of the selling 1.5 million baht condos. I'd say our profit margin would be half of what they make, right? But that's because we're a customised environment, and also that you've spent the time and done the homework, and sort of as we say, you've gone for the high end. Yes, it's as simple as that. Okay, women in the studio. I'm going to bring you back in a minute, Lawrence, if that's okay. Yeah, no Just got to cut in and get some things out of the way on 105. Stay with us.